welcome to another jungle gameplay breakdown, the final in our 3-part vote. With these videos, I try to focus on a different type of game in each one in an attempt to cover as many situations as I can. And after 2 games of snowballing, in this video I decided to pull out the jungle Ekko from the rusty closet and see if you could carry a game with him or at least have an impact. However, instead of just being a ruffle stomp game, I was completely uninvolved beyond level 3. I hadn't really warmed up, I wasn't comfortable on the champion even though I do have over 200,000 mastery points on him. I haven't played him in a while, and I had a tough time keeping up with the rest of the game. So the focus for this tutorial is how can you become a mid and late game closer by making crucial and clutch plays that net your team gold swings, but also bring you back into the game and allow you to win it. Even if you've had a terrible early game, you can still make that impact, so don't be discouraged. Let's begin by looking at the early game, as I still managed to have a decent first few minutes. My clear was okay given my Ekko rustiness, and even though mid lane died early, I moved towards the top lane as Sion is pushing quite hard, and when ganking with Ekko, because of the long wind-up time on your W, you want to put it in a clear situation where it forces the enemy to either go in that direction or flash. Obviously, don't throw your W where they are currently located, because they're going to move away as soon as you show, as soon as they see that W coming down. And you don't want to flash onto it or flash E onto it, because they're just going to flash soon afterwards. And when it's something like Sion, it's quite difficult to kill them, and in turn you'll have nothing left with which to chase them. Usually closest to the wall is quite good, and closer to the river is mediocre, depends on their pathing, if they have flash and things like that. In this situation, I make sure to place it in a position where if Sion was to flash, he would land right in the middle of it, and in hopes that he doesn't go into the bush, because that's where he might expect me to put it, so I'm trying to call his bluff and split the difference a little bit. Nonetheless, it forces him to fight it out with me in Wukong, and it doesn't work out for him, but my Wukong decides to be charitable this time around. And basically after this, a long 15 minutes pass by. There isn't much to tell. My bot lane destroys the enemy. I do go down there and dive, grab an assist. I do die though. And instead of my bot lane rotating to the top or mid or anywhere else, they consistently push and don't really gain anything. My top laner keeps getting dove because he isn't warding. Mid lane and I can't seem to gain any synergy because the enemy is actually warding quite well. And guess what? These aren't complaints, these are just realities of the situation. They will and do happen all the time at every rank. I know you're all nodding your heads and going, yep, my team is always filled with potatoes. But now there's a difference between being griefed and, losing because the enemy is just being better or you're tilted or something like that. So when you have a team that doesn't seem to quite know what to do to win the game, or they're being a bit stuck, this is where you come in. Now, this is probably my worst game that I've uploaded in terms of my own play. It's messy mechanically, I bait my team, I mess up a lot, but if you're being smart, avoiding death, farming up, and doing damage control, you can still be in a position to make game-winning plays and damage down the stretch, and that's what we're going to look at. And just as a side note, if you're looking for information on being behind in general from a jungle position, go have a look at my guides on that, and I'll link a few in the description. So our fast forward ends at around 18 minutes, and we're tied up on kills just about. Varus is very fed, has done a lot of damage, whereas I have simply focused on any neutral objectives I could, warding up and doing my best to minimize any damage the enemy team might do against our structures. The first play I want to focus on for our personal comeback into this game is down the mid lane, and I want to illustrate a few things for you. Firstly, I flash E to try get involved in a fight, which looks a bit ridiculous because I'm not in range to finish the move, but I can definitely send out a Q which will allow me to slow the enemy. We use this to finish off the Thresh, and now for a general Ekko mechanical tip. If you want to E to someone but they're out of range and there is something around to help you, it's Eing to a minion. So it's a similar principle to before. If you don't have your flash though and you have minions or monsters around, once you finish the move, you can throw your Q out to slow them and order them down, or have your ADC snipe the kill. And if you're very deep between 2 towers like I am, then you can simply ult all the way back out just in time for the enemy Sion and Ezreal to clean us up. So we managed to get some kills for ourselves and stop the bleeding, but we also let the enemy kill us, and now they can push down the mid lane and take that first tower. In true ARAM fashion, I run it back down mid and lock up Thresh in a W, doing as much damage as I can before I back off from the Brand and the Sion, and my Varus flanks and secures the kill. We then combine to take out the Sion. Okay, normally I would say at this point we should probably push out the minion waves and take the top tower, but Kane catches out my ADC and I can't get involved unless I want zombie Sion to slap me. Scrappy fighting with minimal wave control and objective control is the order of the day in this game apparently. But the cleanup kills we get for both teams, they're equalizers. They might seem pointless and messy fighting, we're just running down mid, we're just scrapping the whole time, but they're actually making sure there aren't enough people alive on the enemy to secure barons, make hard pushes, or take inner towers. It's at this point I'm starting to get more gold, I'm getting more involved in the game, so I do a quick clear of my topside jungle and catch out a retreating Thresh, make sure to hit the blasting cone to avoid him escaping, and from here both teams have a fascination with fighting. It's not my kind of game, and I'm falling into the trap with them, but knowing that as long as I can wave clear and put out damage, we won't lose too much if a fight goes badly, which of course in this situation it does. I keep the Kayn away from my ADC, but Brand and Sign easily take him out anyway, and with Malzahar bottom side pushing towers, finally someone focusing objectives, we're able to at least stop them doing the Baron for now. And of course, as you're running away with Ekko, always look for that turnaround EQ. Kayn thinks I'm running away into the bush, but I'm actually going to turn back on him once he loses vision of me. And after that, I simply wave clear and defend our last top inner tower. So even though we lost a fight, a little scrap again, we actually got an inner tower. And now Malzahar's pushing the top lane, we can actually look for an additional scrap that can allow him to keep pushing. I hard engage into the Ezreal and Brand and ult out at the very last second. And this is crucial because we take away the top 2 damage sources from the map, and it looks like a really good fight for... never mind, everyone is dead. Okay then. We do manage to get top tower, so again it's a scrappy fight, but we end up with the objective lead and a nice little gold deposit. With Malzahar returning, that leaves us in a 2v3 to hold mid. I don't really want to fight, give him a HP. I'm just trying to wave clear, I'm moving in and out. I'm not looking to actually die here. I don't want to give up the inhibitor. My mid laner does decide though, like my top laner, to be charitable to the enemy team, leaving me to hold by myself. I do get hooked like a donkey, but I trap Sign in my W and it gives my team enough time to save me while I get to taunt him. Now, remember when I spoke about this being a weird ARAM with fights? Well, the side waves are starting to push against us quite heavily. We're losing gold, XP, they're getting free tower damage, and no one is bothering to actually go ahead and try and relieve that pressure or slow push it or anything. So I'm looking to push bot out a bit, but again, everyone is fighting in mid, and I honestly don't like these games. It's like trying to calm an excited kitten down, but every time you turn away, he's playing with something else. So after relieving pressure on the bot lane, the idea was to have pressure build up on that side of the map for the enemy so that we could actually have some sort of Baron control. But as the jungler, if my team loses the fight and they have 4 or 5 up, then guess what? Well, they're just gonna do Baron because I'm on the bottom side of the map and I don't have teleport. So I do my duty and I rotate over and save the day by dying and doing absolutely nothing. I respawn, push top wave out, and finally, we start to make some smart decisions. Let's try take hold of this absolutely ridiculously terrible game. My team listens to pings to back off, Wukong deals with the bottom waves and rotates upward for a defense fight on the top tower, and this is where you might have 2 different roles in teamfight at the same time, and it's important as Ekko and as any sort of assassin or tanky assassin that you understand this. I engage by landing a 2-man W stun, and now I'm kiting around the Kayn who only wants to deal with me. I flash back in after Wukong ult so I can guarantee the kill on Thresh. His peel is strong and securing a kill is important for any fight that we have at this point. Brand also flashes away and over the wall to avoid any more damage in the choke point, which means I can ult backwards and help heal my Varus who's been crushed by the might of Sion. All this time, Kayn is simply following me around trying to deal with me. Braum and I managed to keep Sion from killing Varus, but at the cost of me being taken off the map. It's still a 2v1, which is great. And because my mid laner forgot to switch his summoners to flash and TP, he actually has flash and smite. So with me down, they just go ahead and sneak that Baron. The enemy had to go back to heal, and also they were outnumbered, which gave us a window for that free Baron. You'd think everything would go smoothly from this point, but the I regret my decision moment in this game is that I go in and bait my team. I'm simply trying to burn ults and CC because I can simply ult back out. It's a get out of jail free card, and we can keep sieging with a reduced threat. Unfortunately, the bait works extremely well. Everyone goes in, Wukong goes tower diving for Thresh, and remember, even though they should have control of their own brains, this isn't the case, and if you are being the person making the calls and doing the damage in fights, and your team notices this, they will be playing off of what you're doing, and they can't help themselves. So you need to play a bit more reserved and safe in this situation, and simply push up with your Q and Baron minions and secure the easy towers. The situation is salvaged by 3 of us getting back to base, and where we can finally have a game-winning moment. We still have Baron and can make a play based on the enemy's inability to capitalize on their numbers advantage. Varus goes ahead and takes the blue buff, but Braum and I see an opening. I put my W between the Brand and Ezreal, which forces Brand to the left. I touch the edge of the W as I E towards the Brand in order to gain a shield to negate any potential damage. The subsequent Q and auto is enough to kill him. Immediately, Braum and I both turn onto the Ezreal. He's kiting well and doing a lot of damage to me. So I ult back up to heal up, I let Braum exhaust him and continue stacking his passive. I E back in and do tremendous damage. Ezreal's QSS doesn't really do anything. He dashes over the wall, but with my E back up in 2 seconds, I'd catch him anyway. However, Varus is here once again to show up and secure the kill. I love ADCs. They're great. Braum and I give each other 2 thumbs up for the nice 2v2. Wukong has TP'd in like a monkey, but now we can push mid and grab an inhib. Finally, the crucial swinging play where we secured objectives, and if I sound exhausted reading that paragraph, you can only imagine how I felt in game. Now, at higher ranks, once your inhib has been taken, most will probably stay a bit reserved, wave clear, ward up their jungle, and let the enemy go back so it would give you time to prepare for the next tower siege. However, a lot of teams will also try and chase you down because you haven't spent any of the gold you just got from that big swing. And there's credence to both ways of playing and depends entirely on team composition, state of the game, current HP levels, and so on. But when you have a fed Varus and Ekko with a Braum, and you yourself don't have your 2 dominating carries up, it's perhaps a bad idea. Nevertheless, Kayn, Sion, and Thresh attempt to chase us down. I skirt around the outside trying to be a bit safe, but apparently I wasn't needed. We clean up, and with 3 dead we can easily push to end. In my eyes, this game came down to 3 moments. Winning the fight at our blue where I got a double kill and my team could turn onto Baron afterwards, making the clutch 2v2 with Braum and myself mid lane on the enemy carries, and the final 3v3 chase down which we won, and that allowed us to push to end. It's worth noting that Varus and I did very similar damage overall, given how uninvolved I was in the first 18 minutes, doing almost no damage and being basically useless. The fact that I did only 2k less damage to champions than Varus at the end means I did far more in the final 50 minutes of the game. Was it messy? Yeah. Was this a good macro game? Definitely not. Did I play well? Nope. But even so, you can still make clutch plays, do damage, and help your team grab a win. Sometimes everyone doing the same bad idea is better than you continuously letting them die and the enemy get objectives off of that. Even if they were fighting a lot for no reason, the fact that you are there to get a few kills back, maybe wave clear different towers, is crucial in the long-term success of the game. And of course, always remember, pay attention to the side waves, because if your team isn't, at least relieving that pressure on and off like I did a few times, can really go a long way to preventing an enemy making a final push when your team gets caught out. Okay, hopefully you can be motivated the next time you're all having a rough game and know that you can still make an impact and be the deciding force in the victory. Thank you very much for watching. Like, share, and comment if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more jungle videos coming soon. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial, which will hopefully include much better gameplay.